Dear brothers and sisters, as we look at our lives, we find that as children, it is very difficult for us to discriminate right from wrong. We get into those things that might not be helpful to us. Children put their fingers in the power plugs, put their hand in the fire, and it's only through the difficulties that they find out what is right and what is wrong. When you tell your children that this is the right thing to do, then generally they would much rather not listen to the parents or the adults, but they try to do those things that they feel might be good for them. And as we get into adulthood, we also follow the same patterns. People all around the globe today realize that smoking is not good for the physical body. That lung cancer and other things can happen, but how many people in the world smoke? People also realize that alcohol is injurious to the kidneys and can create all kinds of other havocs in the lives of people. But how many people drink liquor? And so, we as human beings have a tough time discriminating right from wrong and good from bad. And so we keep on being involved in those activities which in the long run play havoc with our being. Saints and mystics exhort us that the earlier in life we realize what is correct, the earlier we can discriminate between right and wrong, the better chances of our life being lived in a manner in which it'll be calm, it'll be peaceful, it'll be lived like it should be lived. There's an interesting story about a young man. A young man wanted to learn about diamonds and jewelry. So he checked around and found that there was a teacher who was very, very good in that arena. So he went to take lessons from the teacher. So the first day, when he went to this teacher, the teacher gave him a diamond and told him to hold on to the diamond. And then, as the student was thinking there'll be a lesson about diamonds, and the teacher started to talk about all kinds of things. They asked him, what do you do, how's your family, and started to talk about the day-to-day things that were happening. And 1 hour went by, another hour went by. After a couple of hours, the teacher said, okay, the lesson is over for today, so come back tomorrow. And didn't say anything about diamonds. And so the student's thinking, I came to learn about diamonds, but all we are talking about is the weather. And what else is happening in that same town? And so he goes the next day, and so the teacher again hands him a diamond and starts to talk about this thing and that thing and this thing and that thing, and spend another couple of hours. And so this went on for a week and a month. And so the young man is thinking to himself, what am I learning about diamonds? And after a month, one day when he came in, the teacher gave him something to hold in his hand. And as he held it in his hands, the student said right away, he said, this is not a diamond, this is a rock. And the teacher smiled and said, okay, you passed the course. The teacher was making him feel what a diamond should be. So when he gave him the diamond, it's in his hand, for a couple of hours every day, he's getting the feel of the diamond. He's getting to know what the diamond feels like, what it is, and what it should be. And as soon as he found something which was not like that, he could make the decision very quickly. So the saints tell us that we have to do the same thing with ourselves. When we look at ourselves and we look at life, we need to discriminate between right and wrong, what is truth and what is an illusion. And how does that happen in the life of a seeker? In the traditions of Sant, we're asked to meditate. And we're asked to meditate for 10% of the time daily. And we're asked to meditate day after day after day after day. So we close our eyes, we repeat God's name mentally, we try to keep our thoughts away, and we sit down to meditate. Sometimes we don't see anything, and we feel, why are we meditating? We don't see anything, we don't hear anything, nothing's happening to us. Why are we closing our eyes and sitting like that? And then all of a sudden the light bursts forth. And we experience the light. And when we experience the light, in the beginning it might look like the lights are coming and going. And we are unable to know what is happening or what are we experiencing. And then day after day after day, as we practice, one day we get to the radiant form of the Master, our inner guide, and then we are guided into the regions beyond. Yeah. As we sit to meditate, we then start to discriminate between the reality and the illusionary world in which we live. We start to distinguish between the diamond, which is the spiritual diamond, and matter, which is of this world. And the realization sets in that the spiritual diamond is within ourselves, and that is the soul, which is giving life to the human body. And the matter, the material illusion is there also, and that comes from our mind. And so the distinction between our soul and our mind starts to set in. Right now, they're all hazy, they're all intermingled. And so we have a very difficult time understanding who we are. We take what we experience through our senses to be reality. So our physical senses, a sense of sight, a sense of hearing, a sense of smell, a sense of taste, and a sense of touch, they're only giving us physical vibrations, physical inputs into our system. We take them to be real because they're all coming at our mental state. They're coming through our mind. And since that's all we think about, that's all we know, we've never gone beyond what we experience through our physical senses, we feel that this is it, that there's nothing beyond that. But then as we close our eyes, as we still the body and as we're able to still the mind, we can experience ourselves as we truly are at the level of our spirit or at the level of our soul. And it's at that level that the reality of our existence starts to set in. So the more we experience that, the more power we'll have to discriminate between what is correct and what is not correct, and what is right and what is wrong. And if we only stay focused on that which is physical, then we would be unable to know the truth, even though it is embedded deep within each and every one of us. So meditation or a spiritual awakening is the unfolding of layers and layers of mind, matter, and illusion which are covering our soul. They're the ones which keep us from God. They're the ones which keep us from the truth. They're the ones which keep us from our true self. And as we meditate, it's just like the student who was learning about the diamonds. It's the experience of meditation which makes us enlightened. It's not listening to the talks. It's not reading the books. It's the experience of what our spirit is which makes us realize who we truly are. And so on this path of Santmat, emphasis is placed on that experience to be had. And that experience can be had by each and every one of us. So it's not an experience which is open only to the learned or to the intellectuals or to the ones whose mental capabilities are very strong. The spiritual experience is available to each and every one, irrespective of the backgrounds, irrespective of their faiths, irrespective of their status in life, irrespective of whatever culture they come from. But that experience is an experience of our reality. That's an experience which is going to unfold layers and layers of illusion which are covering each and every one of us. Our true existence is not at the level of the body, it's not at the level of our mind, not at the level of emotions. Our true existence is at the level of a soul, at the level of a spirit. And as long as that soul is in the human body, this body is alive. And as soon as that soul leaves the body for good, we say this person physically died. So what do? We cremate the body or we bury the body. And the body which is made of matter goes back into matter. But the soul or the spirit lives on and on and on, never dies. And so saints say that while we are in this human existence, we should do everything possible to experience the soul. Because that's the reality that we're going to be facing. Each and every one of us is physically going to die one day. Whether you be the president of a country, whether you be the very, very learned person, physically one day we're going to die. Is that the end of our existence? The saints tell us no. It's just like changing a vesture. Like every morning we get up, we change our clothes. So that's like changing of the vesture. It's a changing of the outer covering of our soul. And so this human existence has been called a golden opportunity because this is a chance for us to experience ourselves as we truly are, not at the level of the body, but at the level of our soul. And so many times we shortchange ourselves. We don't realize who we are. We look at 7 billion people in this world today. We say, okay, we do as everyone else does. Since everyone else is focused on the world outside, we think we must be like that too. And many times we belittle ourselves. We feel like God, the Creator, is so magnanimous. How can we be one with God? This is only possible for the saints and the mystics and, lucky few. But Sant Rajinder Singh Ji, Maharaj would often say, what one man can do, so can another. He was trying to tell us that each and every one of us is a child of the Lord. We all have an equal birthright to know God. It's a question of where our attention is focused. It's a very interesting story. Actually, it's an incident out of the life of a great painter from Britain. His name was George Morland. He said that he had a few friends, and being a painter and artist, he and his friends, would enjoy traveling. But as many of us know, when you are in the artistic arena, you generally have trouble making money for yourself. So they didn't have too much money, but they enjoyed traveling. They enjoyed having food, getting together, having a good time, and they would travel. And so on one of the trips, as they're traveling, they run out of money. So they're thinking to themselves, how are we going to eat? We don't have any money. We're far away from our home. But as happy-go-lucky people are, they found an inn. They said, well, let's eat anyway. We'll worry about the bill later. So they go in, they order a hearty meal, and they're very jovial. They're having fun. They have the fun with the innkeeper. They're keeping all the other people very happy. And they ate a lot. And when the bill came, they're looking in their pockets and no money's coming out. And they told the inn owner that they did not have any money. So before the inn owner could get angry at them, George Morland, who was a painter, he says, as I walked into the inn, I saw you had a sign there which just looks like very old. So I could paint that sign for you to pay for this meal. So the innkeeper started to think, he had a sign out there for many years which was kind of getting raggedy. So he thought, these guys don't have any money. I mean, how am I going to get money from them? He said, okay, why don't you stay tonight, give them a room to stay, and paint the sign, and then we'll call it quits. So they got up in the morning, and George Morland is painting this sign. And as he's painting, the innkeeper realized the sign is very beautiful. And so he gives them breakfast, gives them lunch, and the sign is painted, and they call it quits. So the innkeeper is very happy because the cost of the meal was like 12 pence, which is equal to 1 shilling. In those times, those who know the British system. So 12 pence was the cost. So the innkeeper was very happy because, he got a brand new sign which was very nice. And so these people are happy they got a meal and they're going back home. 3 months later, someone walks into the inn and talks to the innkeeper. And this is like a real happening. And he said, is this sign outside done by George Morland? And the innkeeper says, yeah. He says, I'd like to buy this sign for you. So the innkeeper was a businessman. He says, what are you willing to pay? He says, I pay you 20 pounds. Each, 12 pence is 1 shilling and 20 shillings is 1 pound. So it's like 200, so it's like 400 times more than the money that he got for. So the business person said, well, I made 400% profit, or 400 times the money I'm getting for what I paid. And he sold him that sign. And as this incident is told, that guy took the sign, took it to his town and put it on auction. Sold it for 100 guineas. And each guinea, and the British is very interesting, each guinea is 21 pounds. Nothing goes, 0, 0, 0. It's 12 and then 20 and then 21. I don't know why, but that's how it is. So for 12 shillings, the painting was made. And, 400 times more, it was sold once. And 21, and so instead of 20 pounds, he got like 100 guineas, so which is like 100 times, more than 100 times, like 21 pounds is 1 guinea. And so the cost of the painting, what is the value of the painting? Is it 12 shillings? Or is it like 100 guineas? And so we many times don't value ourselves as we truly are. And the saints tell us that we should realize who we are. We are a part of God. We are children of the Lord. And that power to discriminate needs to be ignited in us. If that never happens in our life, then we would be just running around in this world. We go here, we go here, we go here. Most people in this world think that what is important is to make a living and provide for their physical needs. They don't go beyond that. We all invest money. We say, okay, I got $100. How can I make it into 200? How do I make 200 into 400? How do I make 400 into 800 or 1,000? And our attention just is in the materialistic aspect of our life. And we forget our true self. We forget our real self. We just belittle it. We don't think we are capable of knowing God. We don't think we are big enough to know God, or we are worthy to know God. And the saints tell us that each and every one of us is equally worthy. And we should realize that as children of God, we have a birthright to know God. And that happens as we take our attention from the world outside and focus it within. You know, the heavens within, or the spiritual regions, are not like out in outer sky. You don't need like a aeroplane to get there. Everything is within ourselves. And this is why, as we invert, then all the riches can be found by any one of us. If we keep on searching on the outside, we'll never get to what the realities of this existence are. When we look at the earth on which we all live, we find that it's so big. You know, we want to explore. If we live in America, we want to go to Europe. If we are Europeans, we want to go to the east part of the world. If we are in the eastern part of the world, we want to go to maybe Africa. If we are in Africa, we want to go to South America. If we are there, we may want to go to New Zealand or Australia. We all want to explore different areas. And you know, there's no way that we can go to all of these places. I mean, we can travel on the plane and say, I've been around the world, but not know the cultures and all. If we did that, there are tons of people who enjoy doing that. That's all they do. There are others who start to go back into history. They get into archaeology. They want to say, oh, there was this dynasty and there was that dynasty, and they made these kind of buildings, and they made those kind of buildings, and they put the stones together without any cement and made that work. And we started to look at all that stuff and think how that thing worked. And there are others who think about science. They say, okay, you know, I need to look at the stars and I'll try to understand what's happening there. The others who want to fly into other areas say, hey, you know, the earth is okay, I want to go to the moon. Let me find out what's happening on the moon or the Jupiter. And so, you know, as human beings, we're exploring. There are scientists after scientists who are trying to figure out how the body works. And we still don't know exactly how it works. They say we only know 6% about what the brain does. The 94% still unknown to us. And that's like, we got billions of people, we still can't figure out. So the knowledge of the Creator, who created everything, and let alone the oceans and, you know, things which are born in the ocean, and the mountains and all these other animals who roam on the earth. So there are so many areas of creation which entice us. As a young person want to search and we want to search and we search, and then we get to a point and say, what are we doing? Is the search any good? Is the time and effort that I'm putting in, has it been worth it? Or it was just a waste? Because the realization that going into the expanse of creation is not bringing us anything starts to set in. You know, God is one. We can call God as Jehovah or Vaheguru or Allah or Paramatma or Ishwar or by any other name. And we're all God's children. And it is we who've made all these divisions, you know, based on our countries, based on our faith, based on our cultures, based on our education level, based on the status in life. It's we as human beings who put these walls. But when they are broken, we realize that we are all one and the same. Why? Because within us is the spark of the divine. Within us is the soul, which is a part of God, which is of the same essence as God, which is full of the love and light of God. And as we experience that, which is what happens as we meditate, then we realize that there is nothing different. Each and every living form is one and the same. It's just the outer signs are different. On the inside, we are all one and the same. And as that happens, then we start to understand our relationship with the Creator and with everyone else. Right now, since we are focused on the outside, everyone looks different. Our features are different, the color of skin is different, we talk a little differently, and we behave a little differently. So we think everyone's different. But when we experience ourselves at the level of our soul, then each and every one is recognized as a part of us. Because we realize that if a part of God is within ourselves, then another part is in someone else too, and so there's no difference. And that's the purpose for which we've come into this world, to not only recognize that we are all one and the same, but then to have our soul merge back in God. So that our soul, which is on the wheel of transmigration, has an opportunity to get off the wheel of transmigration. So as we all gather here today, let us sit and meditate for a few minutes. Meditation is a process by which we experience our real self. Meditation is a means by which we take our attention from the illusionary world outside and focus it within ourselves to soar into the spiritual regions which are all within each and every one of us. Our meditation is a means by which we commune with the Lord. Meditation is a means by which we connect with God. Meditation is a means by which our soul can merge back in God.